ASecretBox is one of the most humble and down-to-earth top players in Osu, reaching the top 10 ranks during 2020 and forgetting how to hold his tablet pen during OWC mid-match, then having to deal with extremely tough circumstances in life led him to take a prolonged break that could have been the end of his career. But in a turn of events, he was able to push through with his life and make it back up the rankings, coming back to the game as an extremely talented mouse player, setting plays that he could have never dreamed of.
Is that 1k? Yes! I got my first 1k!
What happened from then to now, and how was he able to persevere through the lowest of lows? This is the rise, fall, and rise again of ASecretBox. It was September 2015, and a young ASecretBox who was 11 at the time was a super sweaty Minecraft player that played a lot of UHC and PvP on a server called Bad Lion Network, where he found a streamer by the name of Barcode. One day, Barcode randomly streamed Osu instead of the usual Minecraft. ASecretBox was dumbfounded with how bad he looked at Osu, so he thought that he could do even better than him. ASecretBox then downloaded Osu Stream on his iPad, where he played it super casually and even bought one of the map packs. He actually wasted money, unfortunately, because way later in 2020, all paid maps would now become free. But that was irrelevant at the time. He would keep playing casually, familiarizing himself with the game's mechanics, until October 31st, 2015, where on Halloween night, he would download the official Osu game on his PC. At first, he started out with mouse only for a month or two, before he realized the potential of using a keyboard. At that moment, everything was great for ASecretBox, and things were only going to get better as he fell in love with the game. Towards the start of his Osu journey, we can see that he never had a phase where he never played, because he was so addicted to the game. Almost 10 months later, he would set his first 200 PP play on Shinsako no Shiawase wa Kuchira, top diff, no mod. While this was on par progression for the average Osu player, remember, ASecretBox was only 12 at the time, meaning he probably wasn't focusing too much on ranks, and he had so much time to play not only Osu but other games as well. However, Osu meant so much to him, and it was enjoyable. He loved to watch all the insane Raruchi, Cookiezi, Wobblewolf, and Doomsday scores that he always dreamed of setting. However, he would have never thought he would make it and become a top player. But that didn't matter at the time because he was playing for fun, and that's all that mattered to him. 7 months later, he would set his first 300 PP play on Skrillex Circulation with hidden and really good accuracy. He was mainly a no-mod player at the time, delving into hidden to develop good form and consistency for the player he grew to be. Then everything changed when he discovered Double Time, the mod that is a game changer for almost every player when they learn how to read and play the high AR and high BPM jumps that come with it. ASecretBox used DT as a tool to gradually improve his speed to get faster, but mainly for the PP gains, as it was extremely broken and beneficial for him. This is shown by his first 400 PP play that was on a popular farm map, Hitori Goto, with hidden double time. Unfortunately, the play was overwritten by a newer score, but he does remember it being a high 400, being worth 466 PP at the time. However, exploiting DT to gain more ranks never came as a detriment to his improvement, as he would constantly be in touch with other mods other than DT, like Hidden and Hard Rock. But for the time being, he exploiting the ever-living heck out of DT, setting his first 500 PP play on Hakensha wa Watashi, a TV-sized version. This was a significant score and a milestone for him, as he literally had to spam the map for 3 hours and he would never let go of hope. He got this A rank choke at the time, signaling how doable the map was. He had that Sisyphus mentality of pushing through until he got it, and finally he managed to close out the score to become Australia's third player to get a 500 PP play. He was ecstatic and relieved that he was able to get this score, but what did the Aussie community think? Well, no one really liked him because they thought he was cheating, and people knew that he was fairly young, so they just interpreted his skill as cheats because they probably just thought kid equals immature bloke that used cheats. Many people in the Australian community would have this weird stance, and this was one of the first of many challenges ASecretBox had to deal with. This screenshot was one of the oldest examples he could find. This, in combination with everyone doubting him and his skill, really hurt him, and made him sad because he felt like he could never be friends with some of the people in the Australian community that he really looked up to. In fact, that screenshot I just showed was an inspirational player for ASecretBox, and for him to see this made him feel distraught and unwanted. But even though it took a mental toll on him and his emotions were all over the place, the cheating allegations never got to him, and he kept playing and proving the doubters wrong, because in his mind, he obviously knew that he wasn't cheating and he was legit, so why would it matter what other people cared or thought about him? Honestly, this is a based-ass mindset. During this tough time period, he would never get restricted either. Up until around this point, he was a mouse player for about 2 years, and he reached the rank of 4.5k after setting his top play at the time on New World, No Mod, where he switched to tablet just 4 days later on his birthday when he asked his parents to buy him the CTH 490 tablet. This tablet was terrible for hovering because of its input lag. At first, it was disheartening because he sucked with it, which is why his play count was lower than usual in August 2017. But the next month, he started to become more consistent, setting 300s and 400s constantly. Then came the second challenge in May and June 2018, where he put tape over the nib of his 490 pen because people said it would make the input lag go down, since it would essentially act as if he was dragging. This surprisingly worked. For 1 day. Then the pen broke. This meant he was forced to play mouse for 2 months to no avail, but thankfully one of his best friends came in clutch and gave him one of the best tablets for Osu because they had no use for it at the time. That tablet was the legendary CTL 480, and he was straight back into the game and set a lot of plays when he was around 4-digit. He would go on to set his first 600 pp play on Cheer Up Top Diff on the 17th of September 2018 with hidden double time. It was worth exactly 656 at the time. At this point, he was finally farming at his new skill level, farming 500s and 600s consistently. But the progress between this play and his first 700 was stagnant, as it took him all the way up until the jump farm meta was in full effect, where he abused Sotark's maps to inflate his rank. So with this in mind, he would obviously farm Guess Who Is Back, Fiery's Extreme, for his first 700, and his first submitted 800 was on Just a Dice, Top Diff, with an unfortunate 1 slider break. This was actually Australia's first 800. The reason I say the first submitted 800 is because his first 800 was actually on Lonely Go. Here is a live play on screen, where you can see he is using his laptop keyboard and tablet. Unfortunately, this score did not submit, and I don't know what he thought at the moment, but he must have felt a little bit frustrated about that happening. At this point in time, ASecretBox surged through to 2-digit by the end of 2018, coming from just rank 500 at the start of the year. All of this using the Lenovo Yoga 520 laptop that had a small display and a 7 millisecond frame time response. It really wasn't until the next 2 years when he finally considered himself an actual top Osu player. It was February 14th, 2020, and ASecretBox finally reached the spot in the rankings every player wants to achieve, that being the top 10. He thought that was it, and that he was officially super cool, and he would receive fame, popularity, and respect from other players. But he was wrong. He got absolutely nothing. Maybe a bit of recognition here and there, but after a month he lost the top 10 position, and realized that it wasn't that cool as he had made it out to be. This does not change the fact that he felt proud he hit it, and he does still feel proud of that accomplishment, but it definitely did not give him any benefits. Then he kind of fell off, hovering between rank 10 to 20, and setting cool scores like his hidden FC on Purchase Stagnum, a score that he likes a lot. Now that he accomplished a major milestone, why not add a couple more, as he would actually get his first badges, get top 10 like I mentioned before, and play in OWC 2020, where it was time for him to prove himself on a bigger stage. And if you were paying attention during the intro, I actually mentioned his second major challenge he had to deal with throughout his Osu career. He forgot how to hold his pen. He remembers how embarrassed he was, and it was one of the worst feelings ever. People in Twitch chat were saying, "Where's ASecretBox?" And he didn't play a single map in the finals versus Germany, and he is still convinced that they could have won the match had he actually been able to play. But he felt as if he was so useless the whole entire tournament, because he was physically unable to play. He literally forgot how to hold his pen. His team never said anything bad to him or about him, which is pretty wholesome, as they supported him through this time. But it was, quote, still so gut-wrenching, and I felt like I was stripped of everything I'd worked so hard for the last 5 years, end quote. Because of this, he barely played the game, as we can see from his rapidly declining and low amount of play count. He was kind of depressed by Osu, and he tried to play tablet again, but he had the same issue every single time. He says that even to this day, if he tried to plug in a tablet and try to play with it, he would have the same exact problem that he dealt with in 2020. He still can't hold the pen without losing grip and constantly overthinking about it. So he gave up, and started playing with some shitty office mouse like he used to back in the day. He could barely aim jumps, and he sucked so much that he played exclusively offline because he was embarrassed that people would spectate him. But on the bright side, he slowly started getting better grades, and it was his final year of high school. The year before was hell for him, and he had pretty much gone through a huge depression where he was unable to do anything. But with Osu out of his life, going to school and building meaningful relationships that he cared about alongside getting into weightlifting means that this was the end of one's legendary Osu journey. After neglecting his life for too long, he says that Osu was used as an escape from a depressing life and terrible grades, because he actually felt like he was, quote, important and wanted by the Osu community when he made it to the top. Now that he was finally free, he would try to keep his life rolling, doing various things, and just quitting Osu basically. Everything was fine until he would face his biggest and toughest challenge yet. It was May 2021, and randomly he started throwing up everywhere whilst he was at a party. His parents automatically thought he was drinking alcohol or did something stupid, but it was the start of a year-long fiasco where he literally could not eat food. Every single day he had this feeling of a rock in his throat. It was actually something called globus pharyngitis, which still haunts him to this day, well, at least a little bit. At the time, he thought he had cancer or something along the lines of that, because he had bowel cancerous growths when he was really young. So in that moment, he really thought that was the end of his life. But thankfully it was not cancer, following a biopsy. But he still couldn't eat any food without instantly throwing up, nor even being able to drink water. The only thing that would help him was simply lying in bed and doing absolutely nothing. And every day, he cried himself to sleep, because he had literally lost everything, and he couldn't even function properly, and doctors weren't helpful either as they had no idea. Even looking at screens would make him nauseous and would make him want to throw up. Eventually, his GP prescribed him PPI, which is something to help with acid reflux, but that didn't help either. Yet he still took it constantly, praying that the effects would kick in one day and help him. After a few more months, things were looking dire, and he was eventually prescribed antidepressants. And this was the fix. This was the difference that actually signaled the start of regaining his health. He was able to look at screens, eat food, and do normal tasks. Finally, he actually cried for the first time after he ate a sandwich and he didn't vomit. The most he had eaten in days was a singular rice cracker and a sip of water. But because of the antidepressants, he wasn't so anxious anymore, and the PPI the doctors had prescribed him started working, and now he can finally function normally. Now he is currently healthy and in extremely good shape, which I want to say is extremely amazing. Even though when I talked to him about this I didn't say much, but this actually made me tear up a little bit when he told me this. But that's enough of the lows. It was finally time for his rise again. The first thing he wanted to do was stream, so that's exactly what he did. In October 2021, he slowly started to feel a lot better, and he just played Osu because he couldn't go to school as it was pretty much over by that point. But it started off slow, and he did a little series on Twitch where he speedran to 3-digit on mrekk with mouse. He started to improve super quickly. With his happiness at an all-time high, it took him about a week to reach 3 digits in his mini speedrun series. He played Osu very casually at this point, and he focused on the gym, but still maintained a relatively decent presence on Osu, setting his first 700 and 800 PP plays on mouse. And by this point in 2022, he kind of realized that he wasn't that far from where he left off in 2020. But he still didn't play much until he set his first 900 PP play on Sunglow with hidden double time in November 2020 with an unfortunate 1 miss choke. This was finally the turning point for ASecretBox, and he realized he was back and he could actually keep up with his old self. Since then, he has not nearly played as much as he used to, but he plays enough to be good at the game and not rust too much. Now he is a happy lad that goes gym, plays Osu, met his boyfriend of 1 year, and studies personal training in TAFE. So his life is great now. At the moment, he has a good setup with a PC that was given to him by his oldest brother back in 2019, but that wasn't mentioned before. And currently he uses the G Pro X Superlight wireless with 800 DPI and 0.9 sensitivity in-game. His keyboard is also the Wooting 60HE. Now let's address his main skill set, but stay tuned because we're going to be looking at some of his most notable scores. If we look at his top plays, he is literally good at everything, but he believes one of his main strengths is undoubtedly flow aim. Well, it is definitely one of his main skill sets nowadays. He says that to improve at flow aim, he had hundreds and hundreds of plays on painters until he magically developed good stamina and flow aim. Here is a screenshot of his first good run on the map, and this compared to his first pass, which was a 75% C rank, was amazing improvement. It was not only painters though, he would spam all the common farm maps like Songs Comp, Honesty, and even Sidetrack Day with Hard Rock. By the time he could actually set 700s on flow aim, he was already a top 10 player and was known for his DT scores on more aim focused maps. ASecretBox believes that this play on screen is genuinely one of the first amazingly good flow aim scores he set, as it would have been worth 900 if he was able to hack it. And even though it was a loved map and a score that could blow expectations, no one ever saw the score. ASecretBox's advice to getting better at flow aim is to focus on both tapping and aim, staying close to a comfortable BPM, because if you wander too high, it only gets harder for playing space streams and flow aim type maps, so it will basically cause you to chain miss. And for the final tip, he believes developing muscle memory is important, as you need to let your cursor move on its own without slowing down or speeding up more than necessary. Kind of hard to explain, but basically you should be following the rhythm. Now, onto some of his most recognizable and amazing scores, like his first 1000 PP play on Seller of Ghosts, no mod, which is an absolutely goated play, as it was not even a DT1K. He is still number 1 currently on the map, as well as being the first FC. I actually remember seeing a CPO upload of this play and thought it was a really sick score. Now, Kimi no Kyoko, hidden double time. What more do I have to say about this amazing score? Especially when the accuracy is insane, being a 99.22% on a deadly finger control map. I like this score a lot as well, as it is currently worth 1016 PP. And finally, as of recent, his Snow Sleep Hard Rock score is one of his most recent pop-off scores that he set on the 20th of September 2023. This score is absolutely nuts, and he is number 1 on the map. It is also his top play, sitting at 1068 PP. All of these scores that I have just mentioned show the potential of ASecretBox and his amazing consistency skills to play a variety of different mods and skill sets without neglecting others. If he keeps enjoying the game at this rate, he may be able to climb to the top 10 ranks again. Now, his goals for the future are ideally to get at least one OWC badge, as that would bring him full circle. For something harder, he would like to become the rank 1 mouse player, because it would be cool and it is within reach, so he is definitely going to try and push for that. And as we can see from his recent top play that we just talked about, this may actually become a possibility, but let's see. In conclusion, ASecretBox has been at the peaks and troughs throughout his OSU journey, hitting the top 10 ranks, a place all players want to reach, to having to deal with extremely depressing circumstances in OSU and real life, made it seem as if it was the end of this talented player's journey. But with a grand return in late 2021, he defied expectations, rising through the ranks again and showing the OSU community that he is back and he is not washed. In all honesty, this guy is an OSU legend, in my heart, and even if I haven't played for that long and may have never experienced or watched his rise or fall, I say this with 100% certainty, this is one of the most down-to-earth and humble top players you will ever see. He is just the GOAT. I would personally say he is one of my favourite players, and I wish him all the best in his OSU journey. ASecretBox will go down as one of the OSU legends of all time.